Good morning and welcome to the Tom Brokaw News Center here at Universal City. I'm Conan Nolan. Happy New Year, or at least Happy New Year's Eve. Hydee Feldstein Soto is the city attorney for the city of Los Angeles. As such, she's the legal counsel for the mayor, the city council, the DWP, LA World Airports, the Port of LA, and 300 boards and commissions around the city, from animal services to public works to the zoo. Madam City Attorney, thanks for taking the time. Nice to see you. In the waning moments of 2023, as we look back to your first year in office, which has been marked by a very close relationship you've developed with Mayor Karen Bass. Tell us about that.
I think she and I have worked incredibly well together. I don't think there's been a closer working relationship since the days of Tom Bradley and Bert Pines. And it's been a blessing to me to have a client who is as thoughtful as she is and who is willing to work with counsel, as she puts it, locking arms.
Let's go over some of the issues. You were criticized by the LA Times editorial board and the Daily News, for that matter, for trying to weaken the city's public records law in a way that would deny citizens and the press access to public documents, government transparency. They've asked you to weigh their concerns, take them into consideration.
And I welcome a dialogue on it. I'm happy to narrow the language if it's too broad. What I was trying to get to is that we have requests, for example, for photographs and personally identifiable information on groups of municipal employees as diverse as sanitation workers who clean up encampments, all the way through employees who are charged with administering the city and the county's vaccination program, public health officials, poll workers, all kinds of categories of employees that for one reason or another, an activist group, whether from the right or the left, may have reason to intimidate and change behavior at the level of a municipal employee. My rationale is that people just going to work every day and doing their job and carrying out the policies of elected officials should not be subject to doxing or becoming involuntary public figures. People like me ran for office. It comes with the territory. Those who work for the city should be permitted to carry out their duties and their functions without being intimidated or bullied by a small group of folks who may disagree with them. We got a request, for example, from a landlords group for the list of identifying information on potential tenants who hold Section 8 vouchers. We did not respond to that request, and we're not responding to the kinds of requests that really don't seem to be in the public interest. We've been taking the position that under a balancing test, it's inappropriate to have that kind of a database doxing of municipal employees. But I was seeking to clarify the law to make it clear that we don't have to produce photographs, home addresses, home phone numbers, whatever information would tend to dox a municipal employee carrying out his or her duties.
So let's talk about the problems in city government over the past several years. 3 members of the council convicted on bribery and extortion, FBI raid of the previous city attorney's office. How important is that, that the city clean up its act?
It's critical. If we do not have faith in our local government institutions, we will have all kinds of difficulties in enforcing the laws that really help make the city function and make it possible to live and work here. So from my perspective, I've tried to shut down the obvious avenues to corruption from past experience. I created a standalone real estate branch to provide visibility and transparency into our development process. I have put on my website all of the settlement agreements that the city has entered into with continuing obligations on the city going forward so that any member of the public can see it. I have from day one enforced the competitive bidding procedures of the city charter so that sole source no bid contracts are no longer welcome here at City Hall. And I have started this office. We do not accept industry drafted ordinances as our ordinances anymore. We draft our own. We've also insisted that every department signatory for any contract attest in writing that the signatory themselves has no financial, pecuniary, or personal interest in the contract or in any of the parties thereto.
Let's talk about crime. If you steal under $950 worth of goods under Prop 47, it's only a misdemeanor, even if you do it a dozen times in an afternoon. It is clear that many people are arrested and immediately released. Respond to that.
We will prosecute theft.
Are you? But are you?
Well, again, our prosecutors will bring the misdemeanor suit to court. As I suspect you know, at this point, the judges have discretion to divert. And where they are in a position to divert a particular offense, it tends to be in misdemeanor theft. So if you want to see carceral consequences to misdemeanor theft, much of that has more to do with the judicial discretion and the state level laws that provide judicial discretion than with my discretion. I will enforce the law as drafted, and ultimately the sentencing and the consequences are not up to me. My office can ask, the maximum my office can ask for is 364 days per offense. What you can do in some cases, like a misdemeanor of child sex abuse, believe it or not, we prosecute those as misdemeanors often. And we have asked a judge to treat each separate incident as a misdemeanor and to give the maximum sentence and run the sentences consecutively for child sex abuse. So we've gotten a sentence as long as 11 years. It's very different with retail theft because each incident is only one. You can't separately charge it. You need more than one incident. And it's very difficult to catch the same person robbing below $950 more than once. If we have that case, we will bring it in the same way.
In your first year, what are you most proud of?
Shortly after I took office, under the leadership of Mayor Bass and Council Member Marquise Harris Dawson, I reached out to the U.S. Attorney's Office, the DA's office, and the Attorney General's office to form a task force to start to address the human trafficking on the South Figueroa corridor just south of Los Angeles. I focused particularly on what was known as the kiddie stroll, which is the trafficking of minors. The average age of a minor trafficked for sex on the Figueroa corridor is 12 years old. And so over the last 5 months, the LAPD, the FBI, the U.S. Attorney's Office, and my office have really disrupted the trafficking that took place and still takes place along the Figueroa corridor. We have shut down the illegal activity at several motels and have more under investigation. We have arrested apex predators, pimps, and traffickers, and put together packages for the U.S. Attorney to investigate further and bring charges. We have sent out over 650 Dear John letters to the registered owners of vehicles seen with minors on that corridor. And we have arrested dozens and dozens of customers or Johns.
Are you enjoying the job?
I am 65 years old. I get up every morning, I come to work, and I feel useful. I feel as if I'm doing good. And for someone at my stage in life who's really not ready to retire and grow heirloom tomatoes, yes, I'm enjoying the job.
LA City Attorney Hydee Feldstein Soto, thanks for taking the time and Happy New Year.
Thank you so much. I look forward to coming back on again.